Hey guys, how you doing? This is Manga, etc. and I'm here today to bring the review for Shaman King episode 22, and this episode takes us through what I think is the night before Yo's fight into the beginning of Yo's fight. And for me personally, in a nutshell, all this episode is Team Yo just flexing on Team Iceman because that's who they're facing. And there's a lot of flex, well, not a lot, but there's quite a few moments where I say, yeah, they're flexing. Team Yo that is flexing on Team Iceman, and I'm gonna just go through it right now. So obviously the first flex is when Yo, who's very calmly cocky, which I'm loving it because like when you usually have cocky characters, there's a bit of hype to them, but Yo's being cocky, but it's very calm and smooth, and I like it. But regardless of how he's doing, he's being cocky, and what he drops within this episode is like, yo, when it comes to the fight with Team Iceman, things will be finished in one blow, done, and the fight's not over yet. They haven't attacked yet. So it could still happen in one blow. I do believe it will happen in one blow, but things can change. We'll see how things roll out so far. So that's the first flex. The second flex comes later on within the episode, not too later on in the episode, and that's when Yo whips out the double oversoul. I can't remember what they call it within Spirit of Sword. Spirit of Sword. Spirit of Sword, yeah, that's when he whips out that's the second flex. And why I say this is the second flex is because I think that this is Yo basically showing this technique, showing him how powerful he is now. Obviously not the full extent of his power, but showing him like, yo, this is the power I'm kind of rocking with now. You can clearly see by the power that I've just whipped out, I wasn't just bluffing when I said I can finish you guys within one blow. That's what I call the second flex. Yeah. So he does that, but obviously up until this point, Team Iceman weren't really having none of it. The first thing Yo said, that could have been seen just as trash talk, and I can understand, boy, that'll get you mad, and that did get Team Iceman mad. But at this point in the moment in time, the leader was sweating when he did see the Spirit of Soul. He's like, yo, this is the attack I ain't seen before. This is, he's using techniques I ain't heard of before. What's going on there? But it could be seen like, I'm here now. I ain't gonna wimp out. Might as well fight, kind of thing. So that was the second flex. So as the episode goes on, we learn that Team Yo have read from the book. The book, the book, Ziki's book. They have read from it, and this is where their power up has come from. You see the results of Yo reading the book, Spirit of Sword, and as the episode goes on, we see what Feltz can do now. And when I was watching this episode, learning that they read from the book, I was like, yeah, okay, cool, understandable. This is what happened within the OG anime. But it did make me think about, what about Team Ren? They read from the book in the OG anime, so it just made me think maybe they're not going to read from it at all. But there is still a possibility that they could read from it later on, because what I'm thinking here is that usually in anime, when there's a tournament arc, the tournament gets interrupted at some point. So what could possibly happen? I don't know how likely I think it, but I do think it is a possibility that, like every other anime, this tournament, the Shaman King tournament, gets interrupted at some point, and because Team Ren will be helping Team Yo, they will need to power up, and therefore that's when they get to read from the book. But could be wrong on that one. But for now, we know that Yo, Ryu, and Feltz have read from the book, and they have gotten stronger because of it. So what I call the third and final flex for this episode is what Feltz does. So Feltz is now strong enough. He's gotten much, much stronger. But what he does in this episode is that he tanks an attack. And that's what I call the third flex. Because he didn't feel... Because basically when he did this, he was defending his wife. I forget her name. But he felt like the attack was weak enough that he could tank. He didn't have to dodge it or just get her out the way or whatever other ways or methods of dodging dodging the attack. But that's what I call the third flex for the episode. So one thing I do want to mention that I found quite interesting is that in this episode you see that Ren is concerned enough about Yo's growth to the extent that he's wondering, does he need to whip out Daddy's sword sooner rather than later when it comes to combat? Another thing that you never, this could be a dubbing issue, but you never get a sense of this within the original anime, that Amida Maru, sorry, I forgot the name, that Amida Maru has grown stronger as a spirit. In this episode, we find that he's become a higher grade of spirit due to him living so long. There's a lot of emphasis on the fact that the older something is, the greater the spirit strength, which is just technically a female Shaman King, but yeah. So you get a sense of that as well. And when it goes into the history of the in English dub, it's called the antiquity. But basically, you get a real insight into why the spirit of sword is so strong. It's not just because it's a double over, so it's because of the strength of Amida Amaru, who is now 600 years old and he is now evolved, and also the lineage of the antiquity as well, which is so however old that was considered a national treasure, and it's these things all combined that makes the spirit sword so strong. I can't remember how I got into that, but well, that's that. But the last thing I do want to say about this episode is pretty much a prediction on how I thought that this episode is going to end. So we were promised by Yo that things will be finished off in one blow, and there's quite a few ways that could be done. It could be a thing where each of them take out one opponent. It could be a thing where any one of them take out all three, or it could be a mirror image of Team the Ren, where we have, in theory, one of them take out two, like Jacko took out Boss and the Boss brothers, and then Ren hopped in there and took out the final boss. We could have a mirror image here where I'm gonna say Fouts, because Fouts is the one that's doing the majority of things so far, similar to how Jacko did it on majority in his fight. And then we had Trey, who was just a spectator. You could be the spectator this time around, and then we'd have the leader, Yo, take out the final boss. That could be a possibility, but I don't see that as a possibility at all. What I'm hoping for, and what I think is most likely, is that Ryu will be the one to take out all three in one blow. And why I thought that this will be the case is because within this episode, where we had 2/3 of Team Yo showcase a little bit of something of what they learned from reading the book, Ryu, on the other hand, was in the background. He was the spectator. He was just watching. We didn't see nothing of him. So I feel like next episode will be his time to shine, even though he didn't. Maybe not, because he's had a shining moment episode already. But I do believe that that will be that's the most likely course of action I think we will take at that moment. The only thing that has me against it, and it's only a little bit, is because Ryu has had a shining moment in the previous episode. So I'm going to give this episode a 3-star rating. There was a lot of flexing, a lot of showcasing, but at the end of the day, it was a standard episode of Shaman King. One more final thing that I do want to mention that I just remembered now is that for anyone who's watched the OG anime, just let me know what you thought about the current look, the 2021 look of the Spirit of Sword. It looks very more detailed within the 2021 version, and I was wondering to myself, why could that be? I thought that maybe because now, back in the day, I thought that maybe because back in the day they didn't have the time, money, skill, or equipment to animate it to the level that they wanted to, so therefore that's why it looked like what it did, how it did. And maybe because how within the OG anime, if I'm remembering correctly, Yo doesn't use the Spirit of Sword too much. He doesn't make too many appearances, and that was because of how it was very Furyoku draining or stamina draining. It was very draining technique, so that could be why as well. But yeah, just let me know what you feel about the look of Spirit of Sword within 2021 and why you feel like it wasn't like that within the original, if you have watched it. Like always, guys, I'm asking for your thoughts and opinions. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. But most importantly, take care. Have a nice day.